Hello, my name is Mae-mae. Today, I'm gonna make a big fish tier list for Final Fantasy XIV. I originally actually did this on stream already once, but so recently I've been going over my audio settings and I realized that my voice peaked the microphone like almost every time I said some particular words, which was really annoying, and I didn't want to go through the trouble of figuring out how to fix that. I'm not really a video editing wizard, so I don't know how to do that. So I figured that instead of worrying about that, I'm gonna make a brand new video for YouTube only about my tier list. So I've made a big fish tier list thingy on the tier list maker, whatchamacallit. Anybody can try it out, including you. So if you disagree with some of my big fish opinions, you can do it yourself. Obviously, my tier list is still better. That is not something that we can, that's unfortunately not subjective. The tier list is divided into all the regions. So we have ARR, we have Heavensward, we have Stormblood, and then we have Shadowbringers. I will try to keep these videos about 10 minutes each. And yeah, that's about it. So let me get to this. So let's define all the tiers first. D tier is generally for fish that are always available. I know that some people have trouble with fish like the Matriarch, for example, but since they are technically always available, even if you will have some trouble with them, you can always rely on the fact that you can easily just, well, I, for example, play on the controller, so I can just, watch some YouTube or, I don't know, anime or whatever, and just one-hand the controller while I fish. It's not really a bother to fish for them, and you don't get that anxiety that you're going to get with some of the timed window fish. So they will always be in the D tier. Now, I don't remember exactly which fish I put in there, and I might forget which fish exactly were the fish that are always available, because like there's 250 of these fish, and it's very easy to forget some of the less miserable ones. So if I miss one or two of them, please forgive and forgore. C tier is for the really easy fish that are within, like, that have timed windows, generally quite forgettable. Usually you get them on the first time you go to their fishing window. Sometimes you might get unlucky and take a few windows. B tier is for those who might take multiple windows. They might be a little bit frustrating to some people. B tiers might be, my B tiers might be A tiers, my B tiers might be C tiers, maybe even S tiers. I don't know, I hope not. But yeah, A tiers are the ones that are going to give you a bad time. They are generally just not fun. And S tiers are obviously just the endless reminder that whoever designed the fishing game, specifically the big fishing part of it, just hates the player base. So, and they just want us to suffer. So with that in mind, let's start with ARR. So the Woods Knifefish Zenith has a very stupid name. I don't understand why it has to have such a long name. It is a B tier fish, in my opinion. It does take a few windows for sure to get. It has a semi-rare window. It's like a sub 2% uptime fish, so it's pretty rarely available. Can be a little bit frustrating to impatient people. The Worm of Nim. So I hate these guys. I hate all of these eels. I will put them at B tier minimum, because there's something, I think I'm cursed or something, but I can't pull them. They bite, but I can't pull them. It's like they keep, I do have all of them now, but like back when there was one of these who took like 15 of my lures, which sucked. Zalera was very easy. Very sort of like one of those basic practice big fish that shouldn't take you super long to get done with. Void Bass, I think I got on the first time it ever appeared. I think this one could definitely be at a B tier for some people, because I think its window was like semi-rare, if I don't remember wrong, but it was definitely not that bad. Twitchbeard I'm gonna put into the B tier, because it requires you to do like a small side quest to unlock one of the housing areas in the game to fish for it. It's not a super hard fish to pull, but it did take me a couple windows to even get a bite. But I do think that once it did bite, it came up pretty easily. Blue Widow, one of these tuna fish that I don't have like any memories of any of them except for Sweet and Eat Picky from from Shadowbringers because it has a funny name. Dark Knight, absolutely C tier. Great Gudgeon, C tier. These are all like just completely forgettable. Kuno the Killer, B tier. This is one of those first fish that has like a semi-complex mooching thing to it. Essentially, you have to catch I think it was the Canavan, if I don't remember wrong. Canavan right here. Let's put Canavan into C tier. You have to catch a Canavan at the end of a mooching chain. And then you get Fisher's Intuition for that, and then you have to catch Kuno the Killer at the end of a different mooching chain. But if you are playing this the sensible way, which is like the way you should always do big fishing, which is always go to max level first before you start big fishing, because these mooching chains become considerably easier and more reliable when your stats are way beyond the expectations at the expansion that you're doing the things with. Always max level first. It doesn't take longer than a day to max level Fisher. Just do leave quests, buy the materials in the market, and just give them in. It counts as being done. Free EXP very fast. You can do it really fast with that. Nepto Dragon. I remember when I first got this, I was like cheering and dancing around because I thought that it was like something super special. After getting to the later expansions, I realized that it was nothing. But it can definitely be a cool thing for a beginner. Also, I think it's a part of the Legendary Fish side quest line. I don't really care for that stuff myself. I just want the funny title. So I'm not super knowledgeable on that one, but I believe it is a part of those because you cannot desynth it or sell it on the market, I think. Or at least you can't sell it. I think you can desynth it. It's like desynth into materia or something boring like that. The Shonisaurus actually took me a little bit. It took me like 3 windows, I think. If I don't remember wrong, you have to get the Mahar first. So the Mahar is... this is one of those mooching chains where you have to go from a small fish to a medium fish to a big fish and then to a big fish. It might seem a little bit intimidating at first, but it's not as bad as it looks. Just keep patient. I would say that the Shonisaurus is going to be successfully pulled within about 10 attempts with a Mahar. It can be a little bit frustrating, but it's not insanely bad, at least in my experience. Gobfather is very forgoreable. Giant Takitaro. Giant Takitaro, I think, is one of the harder fish to pull in this expansion. Ironically, its buddy, the Namitaro, is not as hard, but I'm gonna put it into the A tier as well. So the benefit of the Giant Takitaro is the fact that its biting windows are generally very generous, sometimes up to like 40 minutes or something crazy like that. But it is stingy. It doesn't like to bite, and when it bites, there's no guarantee of pulling it. And when you do pull it, you get a Fisher's Intuition for like a minute or 2, something like that. A pretty short time. And then you have to swap lures to a different lure, and then you have to start pulling for Namitaro, who suddenly gets a very high chance of biting onto that lure. Not the worst thing that you can encounter, but it is definitely one of the more challenging pairs of fish that you can get in Realm Reborn. I'm like, my head is still in Shadowbringers because I still haven't gotten the Cinder Surprise and the stupid Scan. Fingers, C tier. Danifan's Mark, C tier. Glimmer Scale, absolutely C tier. These are like the filler stuff that is sort of... I'm sure somebody has had like a terrible time with the Mud Pilgrim or something like that, but they're not super memorable. I think I took multiple windows with the Shadow Streak for some reason. So I'm going to put it into my personal B tier, but I'm sure most people would probably put it into C. Captain's Chalice, C tier. Thundergut, C tier. Dicky. So this one was a little bit weird because I actually got really lucky with it in the sense that, well, it's like, it's not a particularly hard fish to get to begin with, but you have to do like a mooch chain with this guy as well, where you have to get like a smaller fish and then into a bigger fish, and then this guy can bite. But there is a microscopic chance that it bites also to the smaller fish, which happened with me, and which completely threw me off. But I caught it on like the first bait or something like that. It was very easy, but I don't know what it's like if you try to go for it normally. But generally speaking, the mooching fish in ARR are pretty easy to get, so I would assume that it's not too super tough. Bloodbath is one of those basic desert big fish, not particularly bad. Dark Ambusher, also like basically practice fish, not tough at all. Golden Fin, practice fish. King of the Spring, sounds like a practice fish. It has a very cool name. Navigator's Brand, practice fish. Shark Tuna. This one actually gives you, I think, glamour, which can net you a lot of money. So keep your eyes open for these guys. There's another who's like a shark. Something about the sharks. Like I'm guessing the implication is that they've eaten people who were at the beach. So when you desynth them, you find the clothing of the people who they've eaten, which is really morbid. But I just put up one of the pieces of glamour for sale from one of these guys, and it was like 400k or something like that. They're pretty good. People want those very revealing swimsuits for whatever reason. It's almost like people like boobies or something. I don't know. Gross, right? But yeah, here's Drowned Sniper. Very basic. Tarama Fish is also one of those glamour fish. Keep an eye open for this one as well. Not a particularly difficult fish to get. Sea Hag was actually really easy. I'm gonna put it into D tier. I had like no trouble with it whatsoever. Bloody Brewer, I remember for a fact, is one of those who is always available. Dawn Maiden wasn't tough. Hannibal was really easy as well. This was like, I feel like this was the big fish that it like practiced for the whole mooching thing, if I don't remember wrong. It was one of these guys that looked like this. I don't remember if it was Hannibal specifically, but that was my experience with it. Leven Light, C tier. Ninja Beta is cool because you can get a glamour from it. It might be a little bit intimidating because it has a long mooch chain as well. Not particularly hard to pull, but you can get a minion from it if you desynth it. I just desynthed mine and couldn't get the minion, which sucks. So don't get depressed if you don't get it. It's not guaranteed. Silver Sovereign. This one I think was one of those that is always available. The Greatest Dream in the World also desynths into glamour. Keep your eyes open for that one. Bato Ninetails. I got it on like the last second, and because it's one of these worms, I'm gonna put it up here because I hate them. Sildry's practice fish. Dirty Harry actually took me a little bit. So the thing with Dirty Harry is that it has like a 5% chance or so to bite onto the lure, but there's like a million other fish in the puddle that are also biting at 5%. So it's hard to figure out which fish is the best to surface slap. It doesn't really make a huge difference here, which can sometimes be a little bit annoying, especially since he has a pretty short biting window. Helmsman's Hand. I remember having trouble with this. I'm just gonna put it into D tier because I hate these. I hate these sunfish. I mean, I love sunfish in general. They are so cute, but I because of Mora Tecta, who we'll be talking about later, I just hate them. I hate them so much. Magic Carpet. This is like a spiritual D tier, right? They're D tier because they suck, not because it was particularly hard or easy. It's just because they suck. Octo Mammoth, also pretty easy. Slime King, you will never remember it after catching it once. Green Jester, I think, was not available all the time, but it was basically the same as being available all the time. Blue Corpse was pretty easy. Matriarch, I remember for sure, is always available. I get that some people have trouble with it, but, you know, remember the one-handed strategy. Carp DM, no memory of it whatsoever. Discobolus, outside of having a funny name, I think it's a B tier. It has a pretty rare window for ARR fish, and it is available for a semi-short time, if I don't remember wrong. Well, I think it was one of those fish that sort of, its window sort of varies because it was dependent on a specific weather during a specific time. So if the weather, for example, goes away during the thingy, then you'll have a shorter window and whatever. Keep in mind with the Discobolus that you have to pronounce it. First of all, you have to pronounce it like that. And secondly, the Discobolus has another fish that looks exactly like it that spawns into the puddle when the Discobolus is available. And that is probably the best fish to slap because it's pretty common. So you can't sort of preemptively slap a fish in the fishing hole because you can't get this fish to spawn until it's time for Discobolus to be there. So that's something to keep in mind if you're having trouble with Discobolus. High perch, I think this might be one of those D tier fish. We'll put it into D tier. It looks like a D tier fish, doesn't it? Old Hollow Eyes, very easy, C tier. Son of Levin, it had a very epic name, so I expected it to be a little bit more powerful, but it was very easy. The Greener, I think, was one of those guys that are always available. Easy peasy. Coelacanthus, honestly, C tier. C as in Coelacanthus, very easy to get. The other guy who is with it, the Endoceras, let's put this one into B tier right here. Because for some reason, at least in my case, I kept pulling Coelacanthuses. I had like 5 or 6 of them and only one Endoceras. So sometimes you might encounter that. Or maybe to some people it works the exact opposite way, where you get a bunch of Endoceras and no Coelacanthus whatsoever. Old Man in the Sea is definitely one of those first. I think it's a weather... No, it's just a normie weather thing. It wasn't like a weather transition, or was it? I don't remember exactly, but it was definitely one of these more intimidating fish in this expansion for sure. Caterwaller, I think, was one of those guys who are always available. Dream Goby is super easy. Ignis Horn is super easy. All of these snails are really easy. Old Softy, generally speaking, crabs and snails are not a bad time. Spear Nose, I think, was one of those guys who are available in those housing areas. So let's put him into the B tier alongside the Twitchbeard. I think you get this one in the Goblet, if I don't remember wrong. There is no other fish in here that looks like it. Yeah, I think that's the one that you get in Goblet. A Lone Ripper also gives you Glamour. Putting it into C tier, pretty easy to get. So if you want to look into getting some summer Glamour, you know, recycling is good. You can just take the remains of some poor people who got eaten by a shark. Cornelia, I think it was always available or something like that, if I don't remember wrong. Vip Viper is an eel. I hate the eels, so B tier. Sharon's Lantern, actually A tier. Okay, so I went to like 8 windows for the Sharon's Lantern. I had such a bad time with it. It kept biting like maybe once every window, and it has like a 20-minute window, and it just wouldn't come up. It just didn't feel like coming up. It sucks. I hate it. It's absolutely nightmarishly bad. I hate it so much. What even is it? It's just a ball. Anyway, Fairy Queen, a completely unmemorable Imperial Goldfish as well. Matron Carp is so unmemorable that I'm gonna put it into D tier. Olgoi Gorkoi, also Glamour fish. You get a material that people can make like leopard print swimming wear with it or something like that. And if you get the material, it's worth like 200k, which is pretty good. So keep an eye open for that. Starbright, completely, absolutely unmemorable. Salter is pretty interesting because it doesn't have the 3 exclamation point bite, but it's still considered a big fish. So if you are getting no 3 exclamation point bites in the fishing hole, that's because this guy doesn't give you that for some reason. So catch all 2 biters. Dark Star is the first fish that has a Fisher's Intuition thingy, but very easy to get once you figure out how to activate the Fisher's Intuition. Ether Louse, just like no memory of whatsoever. Crabs. I think the Chirurgeon was one of these guys who were always available. Floating Boulder seems like a very D tier fish. Iron Noose, I absolutely hate this guy. This is the this is the one. I'm gonna put it into A tier. It seriously took 15 lures from me, and I'm like level 90 with like the almost best possible gear that I could have at level 90. Just goes to show you that big fishing is all about luck. Your gear and shit, they don't really do anything. So RNG is a thing, and you just have to learn to deal with it, which sucks, especially later on when sometimes you have to wait a really long time to even get an attempt at the RNG. But Iron Noose sucks, and I hate it. Meteor Survivor can survive itself in C tier. Ocean Sprint is always available. Storm Dancer, no memory of whatsoever. Sinker, yeah, sure. Anomalakaris, also very easy to get, surprisingly enough. It looks pretty intimidating, but it's actually pretty easy. Why is there a second Cornelia? Well, I guess Cornelia is so incredibly D tier that it just wanted to be in here. The Frilled Shark also gives you Glamour. I just desynted it, and I think I even got something decent from it. So keep your eyes open for that one as well. These Glamour fish are generally pretty easy to get. So if you want to farm some good money, put them all on your fish tracker and just go fishing for them, and maybe you'll get lucky with the desynth thing. Pro tip for leveling up your desynth thing. I leveled up mine in like an hour from 0 to 600. By going spear fishing. In Ruby Sea, there's a spear fishing spot like right north from that underwater town where the turtles live. I don't remember its name. Like it's like right north. It's like something Becco. Maybe south of Becco, or maybe north of Isle Becco, or something like that. You'll know if you're in the right place when you start encountering these fish called... what are they called? There's something shark. You'll know if you ever tried to go for purple script farming. You can farm purple scripts very fast there, so you can basically farm for purple scripts while you're farming for desynthable stuff. It levels up really fast, so keep that in mind. Jacques the Snipper, Jacques the D tier, very good. Mirror Scale D tier. Pirate's Bane, let's put him into C tier. I know a lot of people have trouble with him, even though he's always available. Sweet Newt is also one of those fishies that are in one of those housing areas. I don't remember which one, but I think it was one of those. Trepsicorian, I think I literally... No, Mud Golem was the one, but these guys are basically the same. I got... And this guy too. Well, the Assassin was a little bit harder. But these two were super easy. They were like the first bite at the fishing hole that I got, like at all. It instantly came up. Helicoprion goes well with the... Let's put it into B tier. I think it shares its window with the Magic Carpet, who is right here. Which might sometimes bully you a little bit, because you get the Magic Carpet when you think that, oh, I finally got the Helicoprion. It's sort of like a similar situation to the Endoceras and Coelacanthus with these guys. I think this is also a part of the Legendary Fish questline. Armor, absolutely nightmarishly easy. Crystal Perch, something C tier, something C tier. Jean of Trout, probably C tier. Moldva, C tier. Rivet Oyster, I think this was always available. It likes to bite your, like I lost like 5 lures to this for some reason, and it was like the first time I ever got like a message that the fish like stole your lure. Usually it just says that you lost X lure, but it said that the fish like ripped it away or something like that. So this one, they will show off their I don't know, alpha presence or something a little bit, but it's always available, so it's not that tough. Sylphsbane, C tier. 1000 Year Itch, C tier. Magic Mushroom, pretty funny. Pokemon, very easy to get. Beguiler Chub, I think this was always available or something like that. Cupfish, the blobfish, very good. Funny and also easy to get. If you want a blobfish, that's a good way to get it. The gigant shark, also pretty easy to get. Glamour fish, here again. Eyes open for that. Judge Ray, no memory of whatsoever, so it's gonna go into D tier. Saber-tooth cod as well. This one absolutely goes up. I would even put it into A tier because I went to like 4 windows and didn't buy it at all. I told you I hate those things. Red bony tongue can go B. No, let's go put it into C tier so that we fill the hole nicely. No S tiers. This is ARR. We're gonna get some S tiers in Heaven's Word, don't worry. But yeah. So here's the D tier. Here's the tier list. These guys are the only A tiers. A little bit more B tiers, a ton of C tiers, and a few D tiers. ARR is a good way to introduce yourself into the big fishing. My personal opinion is to maybe do one of the regions of A. If you're contemplating on beginning big fishing, maybe do one of the regions in ARR, like maybe the Shroud or something. Catch all the big fish in Shroud, and then if you don't hate it, then start fishing properly, which means that you have to put all of those really, really bad fish into your tracker and start getting traumatized. But we'll get there eventually. Anyway, this concludes my Realm Reborn Big Fish tier list. Thank you very much, and let's see you again on the Heaven's Word one. Bye-o!